I also request all of you, if you have any questions, you are free to put that in the Q&A box. We'll be happy to answer these questions to life. And I'll set a little background. We'll talk about our company, Franchise India, and also some of the most important assessment tools which any business buyer should undertake before making an investment decision. So you have a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen that you see. If you have any questions that you want to ask, you can go ahead and write these questions. I'll be happy to answer them. And also, I'll request to make this session interactive. And to do so, while I share a bit about what we do, how we do, I'll also request you to share a bit about yourself, which includes maybe a brief of your profile, the city that you come from. And the third area, if you already are running any form of business or any form of franchise business, you may please go ahead and write that in the Q&A box. And finally, if you've selected any industry or category that you want to invest in, and you can even go as narrow as the subcategory, which means that you say, I am interested in food, but I want to maybe start an ice cream parlor. Maybe I want to start a fine dining. I want to start maybe a lounge. So if it is as specific that, you can also put that in the Q&A box. So I'll repeat, friends, I'll request you to share a bit about yourself while I give you a little background about Franchise India. If you can let me know what cities you come from, any businesses that you currently run, if these businesses are your own family business or a business or franchise that you run, any specific industry, category, subcategory that you're interested in, I'll be happy to learn. So please go ahead, keep writing. I'll take your names and any questions that you have. Like I said, I'll be happy to answer these questions live. So, starting with what we do, friends, at Franchise India, we work with aspiring entrepreneurs like you to help them in the most important decision of their life, which is starting your own business. And at Franchise India, we have been in the industry for the last 27 years and working with entrepreneurs to advise them and also help them evaluate different opportunities. So, our platform has been helping prospective franchisees to research franchise opportunities, evaluate business options which are available, and most importantly, I would say to educate and learn from the industry experts. In the last 27 years of our experience, millions of business buyers have trusted the platform of Franchise India to research opportunities from a unit franchisee to a multi-unit franchisee to an area franchisee or even a master franchisee for international brands, where Franchise India has worked with more than 1,000 companies to bring them to the Indian market and the subcontinent. And we had the privilege of working with nearly a million investors whom we worked to give them guided solutions, combined our industry knowledge, our expertise, and validated learning that we gathered over the years and help to handheld them through the entire process of buying a business. And today, Franchise India is also proud and humble to have worked with the ever-growing community of aspirational entrepreneurs like you, which I would say is today a very evolved community as awareness on businesses, brands have come a very long way in the last 2.5 decades. And we work with some of the most credible companies, enterprises, corporates to also help develop their franchise network, their franchise model. And most of these companies, I would say, have also launched their franchise through Franchise India platform. So, Franchise India today operates in 97 cities. So, most of the locations which I see by the names that you come from, I will have my local team, my local consultants and advisors who can meet with you, can speak with you to brainstorm from the options that you are considering. And we also operate in about 14 countries across the globe, right? So franchising, while it creates a lot of intelligence synergies because it brings the combined strength of a franchisor, which is the company, and also the franchisee who collaborate with each other to make the business sustainable. And franchising cuts across every industry. You know, this is one question I get most of the time from people looking to invest in businesses, which is the most lucrative industry or which is the most happening industry. I always say franchising cuts across every industry. We have all seen successful companies across all segments, sectors, and hence every business I would say is good. But you as an investor must find out your own fitment of what is right for you, which should be ideally based on a very inclusive and integrated approach, including your interest, your experience, the finances that you have in hand, the time that you have to put in the business, and also the risk that you're willing to take in the venture that you are considering. And while you do that, even the companies, the franchisors are also finding the right fitment, the qualification of the franchise partner, because the success, failure of any franchise company is also directly protecting their business, their brand image, their goodwill. So there are few requirements which companies also take into consideration, which include maybe the net worth, the cash in hand, the management experience, the time they have to put in the business. And in most of the cases, especially when it comes to companies like even Reliance, we work with them. Now they look at people who also come with their property, which can be strategic in nature, where the businesses can be run. So all these are some of the important areas which even companies look at when they're looking at selecting their partners. So how big is this opportunity in franchising? So, industry today that we are, this is one of the very big industry globally, where India is currently the second largest franchise economy in the world after America. And it is a very big impact market. When I say it's a very big impact market, because everything that we consume, starting in the morning till the night, it is all largely coming from franchise businesses, right? So India has very strong fundamentals because our domestic consumption is very, very strong. The growth which I've personally witnessed in the last 27 years of running this company, the next 10 years will be 10x of what the last 25 years have been. And like I said, the industry already is the second largest market in the world. And franchising globally is a 5 trillion market, which is much bigger than the GDP of India. Currently, India is about 200 billion, which is also growing at a very fast pace, about 30% year on year. And a lot of this growth, I would say, is attributed to professionals, especially people who are first-time business buyers, a very big community who's taking up and starting franchise business. So when we started our company, out of 100 businesses that were being demanded or being sold, only 10% of these businesses were going to people who were first-time business buyers, and largely 90% of businesses were taken by people who had some experience of either running a franchisee or their own business, right? But today, this community has become very, very big. Today, 60% of the community is first-time business buyers or first-generation business buyers. And the franchise industry in India also contributes 4% to our GDP. And as the share of, I would say, unorganized will go towards organized segment, the share of GDP is also increasing. So a couple of things which I like to highlight and why this business or industry is becoming big is because one, there's formalization of consumption. So when I say formalization of consumption, the demand for branded products, services, the consciousness of branded product and services is becoming very, very big. 2 decades back, we all witnessed the modernization of retail with product industry. And this time around, there is modernization of service industry which is happening, and even service businesses are becoming branded, from your companies, which include your laundry services, direct to home healthcare services, cleaning services at home, and even companies like Zepto, Blinkit, they're all in this space. All these services are today becoming branded. The other area which I want to highlight is also the dearth of opportunities when it comes to cities beyond the top, I would say, metro cosmo cities. There's dearth of job opportunities and lack of also high paying job opportunities beyond tier one, which also is a very big reason why franchise industry gets a very big demand, right? So even if you look at the startup ecosystem today, 49% of the startups in the country, they are actually originating from tier two and tier three cities, which itself offers a very big validation of the spirit and the potential of entrepreneurship in a country like India. Now, at Franchise India, we understand this entrepreneurship journey is not easy. It requires a lot of planning, timelines, understanding. So we always advise don't rush into and jump into taking that opportunity, but you also invest a lot of sufficient time, do your own in-depth understanding, research, and due diligence before you get into signing off agreement with any particular business. So what I'll do today is I'll run you through some of the assessment tools and the process, which is very important for any business buyer. And as a prospective franchisee, I will also say that you must look into the top 5 criteria, which are very important to invest in any business. The first and foremost is the ease of doing a business is something which is on the top of any business buyer who wants to get into business, especially the first time business buyer. The second is your risk reward analysis, right? Because a lot of fear comes from uncertainty as one does not know what he's getting into. Third is what is the go-to market for you? Fourth is the life of that opportunity. How big is the life of that opportunity that you're getting into? And fifth, I would say, is the industry and specific category insights that you must have a lot of understanding on. So quickly, I'll cover the 8 steps for business owners And the first step, which I say, is the self-assessment, and which is extremely important. And this, to me, is the starting point. This is a self-discovery phase. I always say, be very, very honest about it to yourself. Know your strength, know your weaknesses, define them, and also write how you can overcome these weaknesses, right? Somebody in your family, your partners can also overtake that weakness, get the right people to manage the business. And especially the inner circle is very important. If you can also bring somebody in your family who can also be part of running a business, it is great. And there are three major roles as a franchisee that you must be able to master yourself. The first role is that of business development, which means to get as much as subscribers or revenue to your business. Second area is financial management, the cash flows of the business. And the third area is that of operations. So, as an entrepreneur, you should be able to keep an eye on business development, which is more customers, more sales, more acquisition, right? So, these are three major roles for any entrepreneur. The second area is the choice of the industry, which I talked about. I also asked all of you. So, anything which is performing sometimes is not always the best opportunity and might not always work for you. So, do your research. Our consultants at Franchise India, they are trained to work with you, and they advise you in different opportunities based on your own profile, right? So almost there are four areas that we actually focus when we advise any of our business owners or prospective franchisees to get into a business, and the choice of industry is one of them. And then we come to the choice of the brand. Now, choice of the brand depends on the credibility of the company, the legacy of the company, the commitment of the brand. That is one area. The second is how standardized are their systems and processes, because that's very, very important. Because if your systems and processes are standardized, it is very easy for you to scale. You can reduce your deviations. It is easy to replicate. It also helps you to perfect your customer service. Now, as companies they start scaling, they become more and more process oriented, right? So you need to be very focused on that. The other area when it comes to brand is also to understand the operating cost of the business, any kind of reinvestment which is required, which means what kind of working capital you require to run the business. And this reinvestment can be in the form of the inventory that your business requires, or maybe reinvestment also in the infrastructure which is required, maybe after 5 years, 10 years of operations. So these companies also put in your agreement minimum investment that you must be able to do to refurbish the infrastructure. So what are these operating expenses for you? How much reinvestment is required if you wish to continue, and especially long-term agreements companies sign? And fourth area is your margins and the ROI. You know, what kind of margins are there in the business? What is the return on the investment? Now, these two are areas which are also very, very misunderstood, because most of the people, when I speak to them, they said we need a business which comes with great margins and great ROI. But this is very, very subjective. You know, return on investment is very subjective, because return on investment depends on the life horizon of the opportunity, which I referred a while back. So depending on the life of the opportunity, the return on the investment is calculated. Now, let me give an example. If you look at business opportunities like K-12 schools or super specialty hospitals, their return on investment takes a little longer, because the life of the opportunity is also very, very big. Same for, I would say, fuel stations. Typical agreement which is signed by these companies is anything between 20 to 30 years. And on an average, with the three categories which I talked about, from, I would say, hotels, hospitals, K-12, fuel stations, it takes almost about 5 to 7 years for you to break even, right? Because the horizon of the opportunity is big. And then comes other service and product categories, which can be retail businesses, service businesses, where you mostly get into agreement with companies for a period of 5 years. The typical return on investment in these businesses almost anything between 2.5 years to 3 years time. So depending on the industry, depending on the life horizon of the opportunity, the return on the investment is calculated. And then comes the legal area, or I would say aspect of getting into a business. And in India, we don't have any law, so to say, and everything that comes is a binded agreement, which is between the franchisee and the franchisor. So you must understand the clauses which are there in the agreement, the obligations of a franchisee, and most importantly, what is the exit term for you? So tomorrow, if you want to exit the business, what are the exit terms which the company has defined? And equally important is to also understand the conflict resolution which arises during the relationship with the parent company. The fourth area which I'll cover is the expectations, which is very important for any entrepreneur. So you need to assess your own mindset, what entrepreneurship actually means to you. You need to align two areas, which is the life goals which you have and also the business goals. And here I'll give you an example. When you look at any financial goal that you have against the investment you want to do, typically, if you look at different asset classes, they can only be categorized into three fundamental goals. You look at safety as one of your goals, you look at income as one of your goals, you also look at growth as one of your goals. So when you're looking at a business opportunity with safety, you're also telling yourself, I'm looking for a business which also gives me low returns because it has low risk of investment. Similarly, income based businesses would come with moderate risk and moderate return, but high growth business opportunities would come with high risk but equally rewarding returns. And same uh, similarly you will find also in franchise businesses. So from franchisee and franchisee operated businesses to franchisee and company operated businesses, different businesses would give you different kind of returns. So understand your financial goals, your life goals, and these two goals should be able to align with your short term, mid term, or long term goals. The fifth area is to understand the location where you want to open the business. And the thumb rule that we follow is that we do a lot of micro market understanding of the competition which is operating in that market, right? And this can be a local competition operating in the market and also maybe a national competition which is operating in the market. Understand which are the top markets in your city where this competition is operating, and out of all the locations they are running, which are the top two or three locations where they have the best business, best throughput, and best sales. So if you open next to them, your probability of making a successful venture is very, very high, right? The sixth area is about funding the business, which means how much of debt you bring in the business, how much equity you bring in the business. So which means how do you finance your business? So sometimes entrepreneurs put too much of risk, especially first time in entrepreneurs. I always advise they should be extremely conservative. And if your investment is under 30 lakhs, I would rather advise bring in at least 70% of your own equity, your own capital, and 30% can be a soft debt that you can take. And larger investments can have a ratio of 50-50%, where 50% you bring in your own equity and 50% can be the debt to in the business. Because the biggest reason why most of the businesses fail is mismanagement of finances. Your cost of working capital running the business, especially for the first 6 months, is very, very high. And in addition to that, if you have a very high loan, the cost of capital also becomes a very big issue with first-time business buyers if you don't have good liquidity and a runway to run the business for the first 6 months. The seventh area is your training. Train yourself. What kind of training you do, you need to impart, to run the business. Most of the people don't train themselves. And if you as a franchisee owner don't train yourself, then you fail. So the training which most of the companies impart include trainings on the overall operations of the business. It includes training of your staff, a lot of processes, reporting structure. And I always recommend, apart from you as a franchise owner taking the training, bring somebody in your family along. The three roles which I defined, which was business development, operations, and financial management. Bring somebody in your family, your partners who can also be participating in these training programs, and companies mostly do these trainings in a time frame of a week to 15 days depending on the nature of the business, which can also include training at the outlet itself. For example, if you do a retail business or a F&B business, so companies also invite you to get trained behind the counter, which is very, very important aspect. And lastly, I would say put your business into the following stages, because the moment you start running the business, this is the very first stage. I would call that an incubation stage. Set your process, micromanage your business, learn every single aspect of running the business, and master every single process, right? Then comes the second stage. The first stage would be about 1 to 3 months time frame, which is the first 3 months of the business. And then comes the second stage, which is stabilization. And this takes anything from 3 to 6 months time. Here you need to ensure that your cash flows are right. You need to optimize your entire cash flows and the business operations. And then comes the third stage, which you start growing and you sustain. And sustain is where your business is sustaining even without you micro managing that business, which is important. And that will only come if you have learned the process yourself. So good entrepreneurs should be able to reproduce their own success. And I also recommend that sometimes I meet a lot of entrepreneurs who take cash out of their businesses which are doing well and start putting in businesses which don't do great. So if you have any business which is doing well, you should ideally replicate that, maybe take multiple locations and duplicate that success. You opened one. I have a lot of entrepreneurs I meet who took one location from us, and maybe in the next 1 year, 2 years time, they start duplicating that success with multi-unit operations. They start running from 2 locations to 3 locations to 5 locations. There was one such partner I remember more than 10 years back when Anytime Fitness came to India. We appointed one of their partners in Delhi. Today, he runs almost about 20 locations in Delhi NCR, right? So this is how you should be able to stage your business into incubation stage, stabilization stage, and then the growth and sustainability is where it comes in. Now, what is the methodology which Franchise India follows is also very important to understand. At first stage, our company, our teams, our consultants who are spread across the country, they explore these opportunities based on four fitments, right? So we understand the four fitments for a business buyer, which includes strategic fitment, which means your property, if you have a property, maybe the education, profession, your interest, where it lies in. Second comes your operations fitment, which means the time that you have to put in the business. Third is your financial fitment, which means the investment, the working capital that you have in hand, also how you're funding the business. And then comes the market fitment, which means what kind of businesses would be viable to be run in the market. So based on these four fitments, our team starts exploring the opportunities which fit in these four things. And based on that, then we give you maybe 5 opportunities, 10 opportunities, 15 opportunities, and we get you to evaluate these opportunities where we run you through the financial business model, make you meet the founders of the company, leadership of the company, and the decision maker in these companies, a tour of their existing locations, speaking to their franchise partners. So all that happens in stage two, which is evaluation. And then comes stage three, where we also work with you to sign the LOI and the agreements with the company. And most importantly, is the third step, which is personalization, which is very unique to you. These are solutions based on what exactly you're looking at. And we get involved in the entire deal structuring. So the methodology that we follow starts from stage one of exploration, stage two, where we start evaluating these opportunities based on the fitment, and stage three, which is personalization of solutions and structuring of the deal. So this typically can take anything, I would say, from 45 days to 60 days time for anybody who looks to start a business. So friends, I'll also request if you have any questions that you want to ask, you can reach out on our hotline number. I'll be happy to also share our email ID, which is feedback@franchiseindia.in. And our hotline is 9717 683838. You can also WhatsApp on this number. I've just shared with you. I hope you can see that. Every single day, Franchise India launches one unique opportunity and fresh opportunity to all our investor community. And today also we have a webinar at 12 o'clock. And this webinar we have been doing for the last 4 years now, without missing any single day. And every day unique opportunity that is brought in. And especially for the first time entrepreneurs, if you're still at the stage of exploring these opportunities, even if you're not interested in a specific category, I always and strongly recommend, please make yourself knowledgeable as to what is happening around, what kind of business opportunities are operating in the market. That makes you more intelligent to take these decisions. So we have webinar which is starting at 12 o'clock. You can WhatsApp on this number, which is 9717 You can also call on this number if you're looking for a link to attend the webinar. And I've also shared our email ID. If you want to reach out to us, we'll be happy to align your meetings with our regional team and offices, our advisors, with whom you can brainstorm the opportunity based on the industry, category, investment, and the risk that you're willing to take. So thank you so much, friends, for being with us.